This video is gonna be about speaking part 2 cue card. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you 4 tips that will help you boost your cue card score by at least a half band score. So you must watch this video to the very end. Let's start with the very first tip, which is don't only use the bullet points. In part 2 speaking, you are given one major question and 4 bullet points below it. And you have to use those 4 bullet points. You have to cover every bullet point. But that's not necessarily in sequential order. You can first describe the first bullet point, then the fourth, third, second. But the first will always come the first. And the number one mistakes that students make here is they only use those 4 bullet points. They will not use any additional information or any relevant additional info. Only using the 4 bullet points will not be enough because you have 2 minutes to speak and you have to speak for those 2 minutes. Only 4 bullet points is simply not sufficient and you will run out of things to say. So besides those 4 bullet points, use a lot of extra information relevant to that topic. You can go a bit irrelevant, like a bit off topic, but your major focus should be towards the main topic. Like here is an example of a cue card that is about art. Describe a piece of art you like. What work of art is, when you first saw it, when you know about it, and explain why you like it. Now you have to cover these 4 bullet points, okay? These are not optional. You have to cover them. But besides that, you can tell something about your interest in art. How I got interested in art, what types of pieces would I buy? These all are related to art and they are not included in the 4 bullet points, but they are relevant to the topic art. You can also tell about what your family likes about art and how would you become an artist, like a career or something. The point is, you should say something relevant to art. The next tip would be never ever give equal time to each bullet point. You will see majority of the IELTS examiners saying that there are 4 bullet points and you need to give 30 seconds each, which is by far one of the worst ideas. And if you do so, you will never complete the 2 minutes time limit. You will get stuck at 1 minute and the examiner will reduce your score. Simply, you cannot say enough, like 30 seconds for each bullet point. For example, what will you say here? What the work of art is? What can you say except like 2 to 3 lines? That will not extend to 30 seconds. So dividing each time equally is not a good idea. You will instead be forced to spend 30 seconds on each bullet point. And as you have no time check, no clock, no watch allowed, you will not know how many seconds I gave to each bullet point. So just don't do this. Instead, spend the least time on the first bullet point and the most time on the last bullet point. Like my division would be 10, 30, 30, 50. 10 seconds for first bullet point, 30 seconds each for second and third bullet point, and the most amount of time for the last bullet point. This is very easier to do instead of giving like 30 seconds each. Next, you should talk about what makes you feel comfortable regarding that topic. You should be able to talk comfortably. Besides those 4 bullet points, I would advise you to talk about the past, the future, something related to career, and something that your family likes about that particular topic. It can be a personal story, an interest, anything besides those 4 bullet points. Because the number one problem students have with cue card is they run out of things to say. So as I told you, you have to be relevant, but you can add some additional bullet points. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you don't cover those 4 bullet points. You have to do that and additionally some bullet points. Moreover, when starting the cue card, never start with I'm going to, because it sounds extremely unnatural. Like I'm going to tell you about a piece of art that I like. This sentence is quite unnatural and you will never hear a British person saying things like this. Simply start by saying my favorite piece of art is dash. Final tip would be avoid complex words and ideas. Remember I told you that students run out of things to say. It refers to ideas. If you are thinking of super complex ideas to impress the examiner will reduce your score instead of increasing it. Because complex ideas make your brain go blank and you will get stuck, which will impede your fluency. Remember, fluency and coherence is the most important point out of all four band descriptors. Especially in part 2, where you have to continuously speak for 2 minutes, the examiner will definitely judge your fluency. So you must avoid complex ideas. Besides that, avoid complex vocabulary. Because vocabulary, when you use complex words, the same thing happens. Your brain goes blank and you will not be able to speak for even a minute. However, that doesn't mean that you avoid However, doesn't mean that you repeat the same ideas again and again, and same for the vocabulary. Instead of repeating the same words, paraphrase, use synonyms. That is the best thing you can do to increase your lexical visual score. Also, you should be using as many simple ideas as possible, and during that 1 minute that you are given for preparation, write as many ideas as possible for each bullet point. I would say you should write at least 3 to 4 ideas for each of the 4 bullet points. Also, idioms are an important part, and if you want to know some idioms that you can use for every topic, watch this video. Take care, love.